We continue now at the top of Daf Chav Gimel Amud Aleph and Mesechet Kesubos. This is Kesuvos Daf 23a. On the previous summit, the Baraisa brought two cases. One case is where you have two people that say she's a married woman and two people that say she's not. In that case, she's not supposed to marry a second man, but if she does, lo teiseh, she can remain married. We're more lenient. But in the other case of the Baraisa, let's say two witnesses say she was a divorcee and two say she's not a divorcee, so then she's not supposed to get married. And if she does get married to another man, so there she has to actually separate. And so the Gemara says, Ma'ishna Reisho, Ma'ishna Seifa, similar to the question on the previous summit. So the Gemara asks, what's the difference here between the Reish and the Seifa? Why is it that we're more strict by Gerushin than by Kiddushin? And the Gemara says, Amar Abaya, Abaya says, Tirgama ve'ed echad. You can understand this Braisa if you understand that it's not two against two, rather it's one against one. Let's say you have a situation where one aid says she had a kiddushin, she got married, and the other one said she never had a kiddushin. So tarvayu bepenuya kamisadi, both of them are admitting that she was an unmarried woman. And the one that's saying that she got married, that's just one witness. And so therefore the words of one witness are not going to stand in the face of both of them, and therefore she's considered a penuya, at least b'di'evet, she can remain married to the second husband, she can remain considered a penuya in that situation. And the Gemara continues, Seifa, and the Seifa, on the other hand, at the end of the Braisa, apply the same situation. So let's say one aid says she was divorced. And then another aid says she was not divorced. So there, Tarvayu be'eshas ish kamisadi, there both of them are admitting that she was in eshas ish. She was a married woman. And the one that's saying she got divorced, that's just one witness. And again, you can't have the words of one stand against the words of two. And the Gemara continues with another answer. Ravashi says, Li'olam treyu trey. Really, actually, let's keep the Braisa as a situation of two witnesses against two witnesses. Not one against one, rather two against two. However, what you can do is, you can reverse the Braisa as follows. The case will be as follows. Two people say that we saw that she had a Kiddushin. And two of them say we didn't see a Kiddushin. So in that case, she should not get married to a different man. And if she does get married, she has to divorce. Because in that case, the two that are saying she's not married, they're not saying she's not married. They're saying we didn't see that she got married. It's possible that she is married, and therefore we have to assume that she is married. The Gemara says pshita, but the Gemara says that's so obvious. Lo re'inua ein araya. If they say we didn't see her get married, that's no proof at all. And the Gemara says, no, it's not so obvious. Lo no tzricha, it's needed. The dairi b'chatzar echad, because these witnesses, they lived in the same chatzar as she did. And so therefore, ma'u detema, therefore what might you have thought, im isa deniskacha, if it was true that she had gotten married, kala isla lamilsa. So a rumor would have gone out about it. It would have been public knowledge. And so therefore the fact that they say we don't know anything about it, therefore maybe that should serve as evidence. And so the Gemara says, kamash malan, that's what the Braisa is teaching us, is that no, saying that they didn't see it is not a proof at all. Diavdi inchi demikachi b'tzina, because it does happen that sometimes the kiddushin happens and it takes place in private. And the Gemara continues along the same line. Seifa, now the end of the Braisa, so you'll understand as follows. Shnayim omrim re'inuah sheneskarsha. Two witnesses say that we saw that she was divorced. Ushnayim omrim lo re'inuah sheneskarsha. And then two witnesses say we did not see the divorce. Again, they're testifying that they didn't see it. Harezu lo tinase, so she should not get married. V'imnisas lo teitze. But in this case, if she does get married, she doesn't have to separate, because again, you have two witnesses saying that they saw the divorce, and the other two is no proof, because they're just saying they didn't see anything. Maybe they didn't know about it. But the Gemara says, one second, my kamash malan, but according to that, what's the chiddush of the Seifa? Afagav the diary b'chatzar echad. Are you saying it's the same exact chiddush, that even though they were in the same chatzar, it's still not a proof when they say they didn't see something? Hainu hach, that's exactly the same chiddush as the reish of the Braisa. Why would you have a Braisa teaching the same thing twice? And so the Gemara says, no, it is a chiddush, because ma'u detema, what might you have thought? Gabi kiddushin hu da'avidi inshi demekaji b'tzina. Maybe when it comes to kiddushin, so there sometimes people will get married privately. Aval gabi gerushin, but maybe you would think when it comes to divorce. So emisa de grisha kala isla lamilsa. If there truly was a divorce, there would have been rumors about it. It would have been public knowledge. Kamash malan, that's what the Braisa is teaching us. Da'avidi inshi demekaji u demegarshi b'tzina. It happens that people have kiddushin and they have divorce even in private. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, V'im mishenises bo edim lo teitze v'chulu. So the Mishnah had two cases of pesha aser, pesha hitter. One case was where the woman says she was a married woman, but she got divorced. So that's pesha aser, pesha hitter. And then there was another case, let's say she says she was taken captive, but then she says, Tahorani, she says that she was not defiled, she was not violated. So in those cases, the Mishnah said that, let's say, based on her Pesha Asr Pesha Itter, she gets married. The Mishnah ended off that if she gets married, and then Eidim come and say that she was a married woman, or that she was taken captive, so they essentially take away the Pesha Asr Pesha Itter. So since the Eidim only came after the marriage, Lo Teitze, so she doesn't have to separate. But it was not clear in that last line of the Mishnah what case is it going on. Is it going on the case of the divorce, or is it going on the case of the captivity? And so the Gemara says, Rabbi Oshia Masni La Aresha. Rabbi Oshia says that it's going on the first case of the Mishnah. And Rav Bar Avin Masni La Aseifa. And Rav Bar Avin says that no, this line in the Mishnah is going on the later case. And Rashi over here says, Aresha im mishanisas bo Edom shahaisa eshes ish. Meaning the first opinion that it's going on the Resha is, let's say the Edom come that she was a married woman. That's talking about the case of divorce. V'nisas al piatzma shamar grusha ani. She had already gotten married, saying that she was married and divorced. And now witnesses come and say that she was married, again undermining the Pesha Asr Pesha Hitter. And the other opinion is no, this line is going on the Seifa. Seifa and Ishbesi Torani. She says, I was captured and I was not defiled, I'm pure. V'tiru ali nase, and then they allowed her to remarry. V'achakach bo Edom shenishbis, and again afterwards Edom came along and testified that indeed she was held captive. And so again, Rabbi Oshia says it's going on the case of the divorce, and Rav Bar Avin says it's going on the case of the captivity, and the Gemara explains. Man de masni la resha, the one who learns it on the case of the divorce, again, that once she gets married and then the Edom comes, she can remain married. Kol shekein aseifa, certainly in the case of the captivity, she can remain married. To bishavuya hekilu, because in general we're more lenient when it comes to the case of captivity. Uman de masni la aseifa, and the one who learns this line in the Mishnah going on the case of captivity on the seifa, aval aresha lo, but on the first case of the Mishnah of the divorce, there we would not be so lenient. And the Gemara says, Lema b'der Rav Hamnuna kamiflagi. Let us suggest that maybe they're arguing about Rav Hamnuna. Rav Hamnuna said that a woman is not so brazen to lie in front of her husband and claim that she was divorced when she's not really divorced. And maybe that's exactly the issue. The issue over here is how much na'amanis do we give this woman? Demand masni la resha, the one who learns this line of leniency on the resha on the case of divorce is later Rav Hamnuna. He agrees with Rav Hamnuna's position and essentially says we can believe the woman because a woman would not lie in such a situation. Uman masni la safe, and the one who learns it on the case of the captivity, less later Rav Hamnuna. He does not hold of Rav Hamnuna's idea, and therefore there's less reason to believe the woman in the case of the divorce. And the Gemara says, Lo no, the Kuli Alma Islahu de Rav Hamnuna. Really, everybody holds of Rav Hamnuna. And here they're arguing as follows. The Mar Savar that one says, Ki Itmar de Rav Hamnuna befun of Rav Hamnuna's halacha is only when it's in front of the husband. Aval Shalo befun of Meiza. But if he's not present, so she will be so brazen to say that. So therefore, she's not always believed. It's not in all situations. Umar Savar Shalo befun of Nami Eina Meiza. The other one says, no, even if the husband is not present, she's not going to lie in this kind of bold way. And therefore, again, she does have reason to be believed. And we'll take a look at Rashi over here. First, Rashi says, B'shvuya hekilu, when it comes to captivity, we're more lenient. T'chshasha bi'almo, it's just a chshash, it's just a concern. T'ika shem nival alovet kochavim and nifsul l'kuna. Maybe she had relations with an ovid kochavim, and she became disqualified to kuna. That is less of a concern, as in the case of divorce. To Rav Hamnuna, again, the question is maybe whether they agree with Rav Hamnuna. To Yamar ha'isha shamar l'bala geirashtani na'menes. Rav Hamnuna is the one that says that if a wife says to her husband, you divorce me, she's believed. Hilkach hada amra grushani mehemna. Maybe that's the reason why we particularly believe her by divorce. And again, the Gemara says it could be that everybody agrees with Rav Hamnuna. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Again, the Mishnah said, V'mishanisas bo Edom v'chulo. Again, if after she got married, then the Edom came, so then she's allowed to stay married. And the Gemara says, Amar Avua de Shmuel, the father of Shmuel says, Lo nisis mamish. In this line in the Mishnah, when it says she got married, it doesn't mean she actually got married. Elakavan shetiru alinase, once they issued a ruling permitting her to get married, Afal pishalon nisis, even though she didn't actually get married, still she is allowed to get married if the witnesses come subsequent to that. And the Gemara says, V'halo teitze katani. But the Gemara says, 1 second, it says she doesn't have to leave the husband. That sounds like she actually got married. And the Gemara says, no, you can reinterpret it to mean, lo teitze mehatera harishon. It simply means she doesn't have to leave her original permissive ruling. She was allowed to get married, and therefore that allowance continues. And the Gemara continues, Tana Rabban, and the rabbis taught, Amr nishbeisiu tahora ani. Let's say she says that I was held captive, but I'm pure, I was not violated. V'yesh li edim shetorah ani, and I even have witnesses that I'm tahora. Ein omrim namtin ad sheyavo edim. We don't say that we have to wait until she actually brings the edim, until the edim come. Elamatir no sam miyad. Rather, we permit her right away. Hitiruli nase. Now let's say we do permit her to get remarried. V'achakach bo edim, and then the edim come v'yomru, and they say lo yadana, we actually don't know whether she's tahora or not. Harezu lo teitze. So in that case, she doesn't have to separate from her husband. She already had permission. The fact that they don't know does not make a difference. However, vimbo ede tuma, but if witnesses come and say that she in fact is tameya, that she was defiled, afilu yesh lo kama banim, even if she has many children already from this second marriage, teitze, she does have to separate in such a situation, because again, now we have Adam saying that she actually is tameya. And the Gemara continues, Hanu shvuyaiso da'asyon l'nahardoi. There were some women that were held captive. They came to Nahardoi. Osiv avua de Shmuel neture b'hadayu. So the father of Shmuel put some guards by them to make sure that they would not be violated from that point forward, so that he could permit them to marry. Amar le Shmuel said to him, V'yadho idna manna trinu. But until now, who guarded them from these captors? Why are we being so lenient? Amar le, so he said back to him, Ilu benasa chavian, had they been your daughters, mihavis mizalzel bu kulihai, would you treat them with such contempt like this? Would you say such a thing? Of course you'd want them to become permitted. You would be lenient. Havoy keshkaga shiyotze milifnei ashalit. It was like an error that leaves from the mouth of a ruler. In other words, once the ruler utters something, it comes true. V'shtavian bin Demar Shmuel. That's exactly what happened. The daughters of Shmuel, they became captured. V'yaskinu la'arad Yisrael. Then they were brought up by their captors to Eretz Yisrael. Ukban l'shvuyanu me'avroi. So the daughters of Shmuel, they had their captors stay outside of the Bezdin. V'yayli levei midrasha de Rabbi Chanina, and they entered into the base medrash of Rabbi Chanina. Ha'amra nishbesu tahorani. The first daughter said, I was captured, but I'm tahora. V'ha'amra nishbesu tahorani. And the second daughter said, I was captured, and I am tahora. And they were believed again because of the pesha aser, pesha hitter. So sharinu, so he permitted them. So then at the end, the ol aser shvuyanu. So then the actual captors, they came in. Amar Rabbi Chanina said, Benon demuryan inun. These must be the daughters of somebody who issues halachic rulings, of somebody who's wise, because they understood the halacha, that if they are already permitted and only subsequently the Edom come in and say that they were held captive and take away the pesha aser pesha hitter, once they're permitted, they're permitted. That's why they went in first while they still had a pesha aser pesha hitter. And then later, the evidence, the captors, so to speak, they came in and presented themselves to the court. And the Gemara says, Igloi milsa divnasi demar Shmuel havi. And then it became revealed that these indeed, they were the daughters of a master halachic authority. They were the daughters of Shmuel. And the Gemara continues, Amar le Rabbi Chanina le Rav Shemen bar Abba. Rabbi Chanina said to Rav Shemen bar Abba, Poki tafel bekrovosech, go and tend to your relatives. In other words, he was a Kohen, and he was saying, you should marry the daughters of Shmuel. Again, they came in, they had a pesha aser pesha hitter, they're allowed to marry a Kohen. So Amar Leila Rabbi Chanina, so he said back to Rabbi Chanina, Va'ika Edom in Medinas Hayam, but aren't the Edom in Medinas Hayam far away? They might come, and they might testify that these women were actually violated. And so he answered back, Hashtamias lesnu kamon. But right now, the witnesses are not in front of us. We don't need to worry about that. Edom b'tzad istan v'tayaser. You think if you have Edom out in the north, you still have to be worried. You prohibit people. If you don't have the Edom in front of us, there's no need to be concerned. But the Gemara asks, Time of the lo aso Edom, the only reason why they're permitted is because the Edom aren't coming. Ha-aso Edom mitzvah, but apparently if Edom came and testified, then they would be prohibited, and that does not really make sense. We just said, V'amar avua de Shmuel, but didn't the father of Shmuel just say, Kevon shetiru linase, once the Bezin permits them to marry, Afal Pishalonis says, even though they did not get married, once that permission is given by the Bezin, that remains regardless of whether Edom come or not. And the Gemara answers very simply, Amar Ravashi says, Ede Tuma Itmar. No, the concern over here at the end, the concern was that Edom will come who testify that they were defiled. When we said before that once they get permission, that's if Edom come later and say they were taken captive. So then that removes the pesha aser pesha hitter, and that already it's too late. Once they had permission to remarry, or rather to marry a Kohen, once they got that permission, so then it doesn't matter that the Edom come and say they were held captive and took away the pesha aser pesha hitter. However, if Ede Tuma were to come, that actually would be a problem. Those are Edom that actually testify that they're actually disqualified, and so again, that's why he was concerned, and he said as long as the Edom have not actually come, it is not a concern, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chav Gimel Amud Beis.